so next we're going to listen to a student giving us a part 2 answer, describing a magazine that you like. Weird topic. Who reads magazines nowadays? I don't know. I couldn't tell you last time I read a magazine. So again, a good opportunity to make something up if you've never read one before. What is the magazine? When did you start reading it? What the content of the magazine is, and why you like this magazine? Okay. So quite challenging. It's a very specific topic. So definitely you want to use your 1 minute preparation time to think about different things you can say about the magazine you're going to talk about. You could even make up a magazine if you're good at sort of lying and making stuff up on the spot. It's a good chance to make something up to try and fill the 2 minutes. Okay, so let's see what this candidate has said.
So the magazine I like is called Vogue, and it's based on international firms. I started reading this magazine like 2 years ago when people around me has recommended me to read this magazine, and when I actually start getting into let me think, like fashion and stuff. So the content of this magazine is, as I said, is about fashion and dressing up, and also the current trends and stuff, so that people who are reading this magazine can really get into the kind of and follow the current trend. The reason that I like this magazine is that I aspire to become a fashion designer when I grow up, and this magazine has included a lot of columns from current fashion designers or fashion designers that have already retired, so that I can take inspiration from them. And also I can see how to dress up myself and help my friends dress up. As well as this, I can actually explore what is in trend and what is not in trend, so can figure out the do's and don'ts, I shall say. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm excited. Another person who's lived in the UK. Very British pronunciation. This person, it sounded like I was listening to someone I went to uni with. So yeah, big up for the people who've lived in the UK trying to get through your IELTS exams. I believe in you, you can do it. So this answer, in terms of pronunciation, strong. Like I said, clear pronunciation. Clearly this person has either studied at an international school or actually studied in the UK for some period of time, and so has like that British pronunciation when they speak English. Pronunciation was very clear. Grammar was generally very strong. I'm just going to be a little bit picky. And point out the fact that one of the first sentences they said was people around me has recommended, people around me recommended, or people around me had recommended. Okay, because we're talking about past tense. Okay, it was in the past that they recommended this magazine. My only feedback is that they this kind of skipped over these questions quite quickly, didn't quite spent a lot of time trying to talk about this. In a question like this where you think it's very difficult, or what else can you say about why you like the magazine? It's interesting, there's nice pictures, I like it. Is try to expand a bit more what you say about these answers. I thought they could have given a bit more detail about that. Vocabulary, very nice. Aspire to be. The word aspire is a really nice word to use, rather than just sort of like, in the future I want to be a doctor. In the future I aspire to be a doctor. Sounds more formal, academic, nice. The only other word that wasn't quite appropriate was when they said they can dress themselves up or dress up their friends. Dress up is mainly used for children, like playing. Like if children play dress up, or as a child I used to dress up in my mom's clothes. So in this context, it would be more like I can get ideas for giving fashion advice to my friends, or to give fashion recommendations to my friends, or to check my friend's style, or something like that can be used. And then the biggest weakness of this candidate is fluency. Okay, it's pausing, hesitation and repetition. So I think this candidate didn't use 1 minute to plan out what they were going to say. This is something that happens with people who are very confident in their English. They don't want to spend 1 minute thinking about what they're going to say. And so they think, oh, I don't need the 1 minute because I speak good English. I've spoken English to my friends all the time. However, Task 2 is different, okay? It's in normal life, you never have to make a 1 or 2 minute speech. Very rarely you have to make a 1 or 2 minute speech to your friends. So even if you speak English all the time to your friends, or you've been to school, or you speak in English, the 2 minute speech is challenging, and you need to spend a minute organizing and thinking about what you're going to say. As otherwise, like this candidate, your ideas get confused. I'm not quite clear what you're talking about. And it ends up sort of bringing down your overall score, because it makes you sound like you're not as good as English as you actually are. So this kind of did use some nice like native like linking. So like 2 years ago and stuff, I'm into fashion and stuff, like that was nice. But what they really did was they paused a lot. They hesitated. They went back on themselves, corrected what they said a lot. So to me, that sounded like they didn't spend 1 minute properly planning out what they were going to say. Okay, overall pronunciation strong, vocabulary strong, grammar strong, fluency is really what they need to work on. Let's look at their next answer.
By popular, it all depends on the perspective that you're looking at. For example, different demographic groups may have different preferences. For example, female might prefer fashion magazines, or males may prefer, car magazines and stuff. And it all depends on, age groups as well, where as kids may prefer some cartoon magazines. And to sum up, in my opinion, I think whatever has the news on it and kind of the trends and current affairs would suit the demographic groups as a whole, not every single people, but just in general. Yeah. In my opinion, I think people read magazines in both objectives. It all depends on the type of magazines I shall emphasize. As some magazines, such as car magazines or sports magazines, might just be for fun and to go off a bit as a means of entertainment, whereas magazines provided by big companies, such as A-level subject-specific magazines, might be for education and for future references for students.
Okay, so my feedback, I think, is going to be pretty similar to the previous question. They have very nice pronunciation. Their intonation was good. I like the way that they extended the vowel sound in think to show emphasis. I think that was nice to show me intonation as well as your pronunciation. People think pronunciation is just about individual words, but there's also part of intonation in this, which is showing intonation features. So does your voice go up when you're surprised? Are you showing I was so surprised when I read that? And I mean, does anyone read magazines in the modern day? Like trying to use intonation features like that to show emotion and tone and surprise. Okay, so this candidate did that quite well. They also used nice vocabulary. They talked about whether it depends on your perspective. That was very nice to see. And it depends on what demographic group you're in, which was also very nice to see. The only grammar mistake that I really picked up that stood out to me was they said not every single people, of course, should be not every single person, okay, will want to read a news magazine. This type of magazine will not suit every single person. In terms of pronunciation, did you pick up on how he said people? And very much people. Very sort of like, classic British pronunciation of people. Every single people. So I'm not making fun. It's just fun for me because it's been so long since I've been back to the UK to hear some of those classic British pronunciation features. So it's quite nice to me because I tend to meet a lot of Americans here. So it's nice to hear someone with a clear British accent. So it was nice for me to listen and mark this answer. Again, this kind of issues in terms of fluency, pausing, too much pausing. I mean, some pausing is okay. You know, you do need some thinking time, obviously, but this kind of was pausing too much. And when I wrote this in the answer, I could feel that their train of thought, so basically means the direction of their answer, the clarity of what they were trying to say was becoming confused. I was struggling to follow what they were logically trying to say. Okay, and that was because there was sort of pausing, hesitation, changing what they said, going back and correcting themselves. Okay, so again, this is just practice. Okay, anyone can practice getting better at this. You need to practice giving answers to these types of questions, recording yourself. Listen to your recording. Are you making sense? Are you hesitating? Then go back and record it again. Okay, so that's what you need to be doing. So that's kind of my feedback to this candidate. In terms of pronunciation, I thought their pronunciation was great. I would want to give a 7. In terms of vocabulary, I thought it was great. I would want to give a 7. In terms of grammatical range and accuracy, could I have seen more of a range, more different types of tense? Yes, I definitely could have. Okay, so while this candidate had obviously has a good grasp of English, they didn't really show me enough range of either tenses or, grammatical variety. Okay, in terms of like hypotheticals, if I could, maybe we could do this. Something like that, and different types of tenses could it be more. And then the fluency and coherence has to go down to a 6 because it was confused and a lot of hesitation and repetition, which really was a shame because it was a nice answer. So, I mean, I don't know, technically this is maths, I don't technically know how the average. I imagine it would probably be a 6.5 on the average. I mean, I'm being strict on this. I suppose technically in terms of maths, it would come out as a 7. But I think a 6.5 would be accurate for this one. I think this candidate definitely can go up to a 7. They just need to practice, take notes, follow a little plan, okay, and practice how they speak so that they're able to get better at speaking continuously without being too confusing or too repetitive. Okay, so that's my advice to this candidate.